So, endurance is the unwavering flame that burns within us, illuminating a path through darkness and uncertainty. It is the quiet strength that emerges when challenges test our limits, urging us to push beyond what we thought possible. Endurance is not a mere moment, but a relentless spirit that whispers, keep going, when the world feels heavy, which it does right now, let's be honest. In a world that values instant gratification, endurance is a reminder that the most rewarding victories are born from patience and perseverance. It is the ability to rise even when we fall and to embrace the transformative power of persistence. So let us celebrate the tenacity that resides within us, for in the face of adversity, it is endurance that leads us towards the summit of our potential. Ain't that nice, I tell you. And so we thank Anna Ken for their illustration. I'm so excited. We've got special guests today, Unify, which obviously we've got Yusuf, we've got Shorky here. And yeah, I think from the statement I just read out about endurance, I think there's kind of no two people better to kind of talk about what it is to be a creative in Cardiff, pushing boundaries, and yeah, super excited. So we're just going to have a bit of a conversation now. So, good morning.
Morning.
Nice.
We're not morning people, but okay.
Neither am I.
Listen, I think there should be a rebrand, right? Creative afternoons, right? I don't do creative morning, this is Fridays, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. So I've got Unify as a Welsh creative studio, co-founded by the pair of you, responsible for some of the most important art and cultural projects in the city. Unify's mission is to make the creative industry in Wales more inclusive and accessible. Love that. So I read that basically Unify came about because in 2020 you were sat watching Cardiff Football Club and you looked around and you were like, we're two of the only people of colour here. How does this represent us? And I think born out of that was My City, My Shirt. Is that right?
2019, because 2020 we were in a pandemic.
Got
We're all locked up, right?
Sorry.
2019, it was 2019. August 2019. And then, yeah, so we were in a stadium. We went with a bunch of our friends who are regular Cardiff City fans, like year in, year out. And we just noticed that the environment, was not as inclusive as it should be, like in a 23,000, 26,000 seated stadium. So yeah, we just having a conversation during the game. Who were we playing, Shock? Do you remember?
Bristol?
No, we were playing a French team, right? So we're Arsenal fans, right? So for the opposing team, there used to be a guy called Patrick Vieira, and I only came to see him, right? I'm gonna be honest, right? I had no interest in Cardiff, right? And I was staring at him, right, in his dugout the whole game, and we were talking, just having a conversation, and I just started talking about a creative idea right there. And I said, how cool would it be to see people from just different backgrounds, it's not even just black and brown, just different backgrounds, wearing a Cardiff City shirt. And then Shalky, the pessimist, said, I'm sure it's been done. I disagreed. And then we were off to the races, so to speak.
Amazing. And kind of how did it feel to see your work, like, up around the city? I mean, that's maybe the first example of Unify, is it?
Yeah, we paid for it, so.
Did you?
Yeah, it's out of our own pocket, so.
It's like, I think, at that time it was very hard to kind of like, also like express, but showcase, yeah, and for them to believe that, you know, in our vision. So obviously then we had to take this step in terms of doing it ourselves.
Self-funded. First time we did it was we even put up the posters ourselves, so we didn't even know there was a whole process of putting posters up. We have to pay people. I didn't know this. Yeah. So we just put a high vis on. We walked out with glue. So it was freezing, and the whole technique of just applying glue and sticking a poster was just wrong. So every poster, if you see it, there's massive like air bubbles in it. But this is the only one we managed to get right. And it was like an old guy. So this photograph we didn't even take ourselves, but I love this photograph because the guy who took it, do you remember the guy with the Leica? So there's like a really old man, like ancient, right, who goes around Queen Street, St. Mary Street with cameras, really expensive cameras. And I saw like the little Leica sign on his camera. I said, come to take a photograph of this. This is a project. He didn't believe me, right? But he took a great photo.
So really, you started out very DIY. Like we've got an idea and we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
We don't care about funding. We don't care about what permission we need. We're just going to do it. Oh,
you apologise afterwards.
yeah, better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
I think as well because like we believe in so, you know, in what we've got, you know, in the idea and potentially what, you know, the impact it could have. But the guy who basically came, I think it was a day or 2 days later.
He ripped them all down. So there's a guy called Johnny Salmon, right? You see him on a bike. He's, you know, right? He's in like impeccable shape, right? Okay. He's a nutter. He carries a blade in his bag. You know, you be warned, right? And he thought there was some sort of turf war going on, right? And he just went. So we went to our old high school, Fitzham High School. So we put it there because we thought it was important because we wanted the school kids to see it. Then we went into town, and then we put them up. And the very next day, like they weren't even up for 24 hours, right? So
no, but like he did then.
I know, but we explained it to him, we hugged, and then he put him back up.
He put his knife away.
He put his knife away, yeah.
He was kind of teaching us, you know, this is how you do it.
Yeah, this is how you do it. And he's such a genius at what he does, right? So he rips them all off. We thought he just like, that was the end of it, but he basically took me to his trailer down this dark alleyway. Didn't even know about this, right? And I thought I was gonna be on some like, I don't know, Sky News like tomorrow morning, right? He dips all the posters in like some really thick glue, and then he takes them out, and then when he's got like the technique nailed, right, and he just like puts it out, and it's just like pristine.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sounds great. I'm gonna go. Oh, I mean, I think this is probably one of. This is an iconic moment, isn't it? Like I remember this being painted and how excited I was to go and see it. I think it was, I'm sure it was COVID time, because I remember going on one of my sanctioned walks to see this. I mean, this is Boot Town Mona Lisa. If you can just tell us how this came about, because this honestly blew my mind the first time I saw this.
So this was like, again, like it was like 2019 time, so we felt the rush of a poster and what it could do. But again, we didn't think it was enough. There's always like, a desire within us, I think, and it's both of us, right, where you want to do it better, just better than the previous iteration of the idea. And so we work with Bradley. Bradley is just like, again, a genius. He's been doing these like murals for 25 years, right? And I remember coming across his Instagram and just writing him essays like, please, we need to work with you. And little did I know, Bradley doesn't look at his phone. Right? So we did an exhibition, a photography exhibition in Template Piece. It was amazing. But again, because it was between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, was it Boris Johnson who was the Prime Minister at that time?
Yeah.
It was Boris, right? So Boris only allowed, like, I don't know, X amount of people in a room, right? And we felt like all this great work really needed to be showcased first and foremost to our own communities, right? And we were thinking at the back end of that exhibition, how can we show this idea at scale? And then you know, the journey began to get the mural and putting her up, and yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't say more than that, to be honest. It's just stunning.
But if you look at it as well, it's exactly like the poster in terms of like the layout and stuff, right? So if we want to talk about endurance, right? So to get the poster was a challenge, right? To even create, like, we're not using models, we're not staging this, we're actually shooting real people, so we're casting real people, right? We're going out, we're finding locations, we're shooting it in a really genuine way. So to even find, forget about the mural, let's go back to the photo shoot. So the photo shoot was done in City Hall, right? And we found Maymuna, we were super like gassed, like there's somebody that looks this incredible in our community. And the first time I met her, she was wearing that exact same head wrap, right? In City Hall, we had to go find a location, and the irony of it was there's like a Princess Diana kind of like thing. Yeah.
Sorry. I don't love Princess Diana, but there's something iconic about the 3 Dianas, isn't there?
Oh yeah. But even that space is like,
It's really good, isn't it?
yeah.
It's quite opulent.
Yeah, well, 100%. And I felt like, again, she looks opulent, right? If you look at it, she looks so noble and stuff, right?
She does.
We didn't know she was pregnant, right? At the time, so it added that extra energy to it. And it was an incredible photo. It is my favorite photo from the whole series. And to have it as a mural, and I just remember the impact, you know, aside from it being a great piece of art, but what it did to the surrounding areas from our community was like substantial, you know.
Beautiful. Obsessed. Again, another of kind of like my favourites of your works. So this one was actually commissioned by Adidas, is that right?
Yeah.
How did Adidas see your work?
So originally we pitched the idea to Carlton City, alright. We gave him a whole, we gave him like a whole pitch deck. We go back November 18th, 2019, a very gloomy day. We went to Carlton City Stadium, we pitched the idea to him. We sat in a room for like, it was like 2 hours. And we showed them videos that we were yet to release. I don't think we ever released them, right?
Yeah.
Photography, the whole campaign, how it should be done.
It was like a campaign towards like a kit launch.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That, you know, for I think the 2019 season.
That was 2020, so that was a 2019 shoot, but it was to go for
Yeah.
2020. We didn't know
Yeah.
COVID was about to come.
Yeah. So yeah, we pitched it, but like I said, they didn't see it, didn't believe the vision, so we fell for no problem.
I read actually, was there something about reverse racism?
So yeah, 100%. So like they sat in a room. It's a lady who's their community engagement officer. Her name is Amy. I keep forgetting her surname, right? She just looked at the photographs, looked at this video. We gave her this presentation. She just swiveled around in the seat, and then she goes, first things first, could you send me everything that you got? Oh, okay. And then she goes, secondly, if we were to follow that idea, my only problem with it is, and there's a pause, and she's like, it'd be considered reverse racism. And there was like a mixed race person sat next to who's working with the club at the time from the foundation. And we just made eye contact, and it was just like, nobody could, like, I talk a lot, but it's like, you know, when you're just faced with something so brazen, right? You're just like, you don't even know what to say. You're like, how do I? Yeah, it just sucks the energy. We just came out of there, like, it was a blur from that point in. And again, like, I did my bit of research because I tried to understand, like, why she said that, you know? And so I went on to LinkedIn, right, as you do, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
And then I thought maybe she's uneducated, maybe, I don't know, man. You make elaborate theories in your head, like, why did this person come to this conclusion? And then you look at it, like, she's from Carleton University. Like, if you look at her on paper, her credentials, right, you look on paper, you'd be thinking to yourself, like, oh, wow, this person's, like, pretty smart, you know, got her shit together. Sorry, baby. And then, you know, there's Willies in the room, so
And then, like, we just came to the conclusion, and like, it was like a morning almost. For 3 days, we didn't do anything. Like, we just thought, like, this woman is the face of an organization. You got to remember, it's just not her exclusively, it's the people around it, the whole energy of the building, right? And we decided, you know, like, we're just going to continue with it.
Good.
Again, endurance. We want to go back to the whole endurance thing, right? It's like there's a lot of people out there who, and sometimes people are not malicious. Sometimes people are just not on the same frequency, you know, and understand things.
It's like, so sometimes like, you know, people are like a person like you might kind of like understand what you're trying to showcase later down the line. You just everybody, you know, there's a process even in so, you know, when it's out. But I remember like when it was like the whole November we just like kind of debating, so, but you know, we didn't kind of like let it demotivate us. So we continued.
I think the reason why we continued was the people that we work with. Remember, right? So a lot of these people are just regular. Well, they're not regular. They're special in their own way, right? But they don't have. They're not influencers. Like most agencies, they look for influencers. They need to have like a TikTok, number, an Instagram number, and you know they're so locked into these things, right? And it's funny because we'll go back to these in a second, right? It kind of like takes the magic out of the idea. Because it's just like so rigid thinking, it's just one way things have got to be done, and they're not focusing on the humanity of the actual idea. So Adidas, right, to get back to your answer, because we go off on a tangent, this is what we do, so we do this every day, To go back to your answer, the great thing about social media, and the great thing is the visibility, and I remember like December 2019, just getting like a random message from somebody who works for Adidas, so it was an old friend, just saying, "Oh, mate, this is a great, I think so maybe in this picture, he said, this is a great photo, love what you're doing." And I just thought, oh, okay, cool. I just left it, and I just thought, okay, fantastic. And then maybe a day or two later, I just responded back to it, because I just saw like it worked for Adidas and stuff. But even this campaign, great delivery, but behind the scenes is a lot more to it. So it was originally packaged, delivered to the Welsh FA. The Welsh FA, we had, and this is just when Zoom was the rage, right? So everything was a Zoom meeting, right? Like you sit in waiting rooms for like 25 minutes, and then you get the meeting. And then we went through the pitch deck. There was initial excitement. Then there's another meeting, and then a long email, 8 o'clock in the morning. Yusuf, we love the idea, but it might be considered tokenism. Oh. So you see a pattern, right? You see reverse racism, you see tokenism, right? And it's that. Yeah. And he knocked the wind out of me at 8 a.m., but like by 8:30, I was like, fuck it. And I said, you know what, like, there's a consistent pattern, right? But I'm convinced, I'm deeply convinced that a lot of these people in these positions, and it's nothing against them, but I don't believe they have the answers. Because if they did have the answers, I'd be inspired by what they're producing. But I'm not inspired, I'm not inspired, he's just being polite now, but none of us are inspired, right, but by what they're doing. So, again, so going back to that guy who messaged me, I just sent him an email, a passionate email, probably, and I just said, listen, we're doing X, Y, and Z, right? We want to do for Wales, right? Is there any way you can help? Thinking nothing of it. And then, literally maybe like 2 weeks before, it was like about 10 days before the tournament about to start, he goes, okay, mate, yeah, you know that thing that you mentioned back in February? I've convinced enough people that, do you want to go and do it? And then, we're off to the races.
That's amazing. Talk about resilience as well, you know, to hear like, no, but then, you know, you went after Adidas, that's what good. Right,
but it's not even no, they say no, and they give you the reason behind it. They go no, and it's such an X, Y, and Z. So a no is great. No's a great thing, because I have no issue with a no, because a no is directly where you want to go. And even when you work with clients today, you understand like no is, okay, so it's going to get you closer to the yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But then some of the underlying issues attached to it was probably more of the issue for me.
So moving on slightly to Gary Speed mural. Obviously this is quite a special one. A lot of football fans, I know, kind of obviously revered Gary Speed and what kind of he represents, even in death, to be honest. And obviously this is as you're walking to Ninian Park. Is that right?
I'll see. Close.
Malaysian.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, so obviously this is quite a special one. How did you approach this?
Is his idea. So after the big Bruno one, he said we should do a Gary Speed one, just randomly one day. And I was like, oh. He goes, yeah, we should do a Gary Speed mural. And again, this is my issue with the Welsh FA. It goes back to a lot of these organisations don't understand their history and heritage. So this was the first ever story we ever heard about mental health, and he mentioned, remind me of that short story, it's the first time we ever heard the whole, which is almost a bit of a buzzword today, right? But at that time, it was such a taboo thing, like what was mental and health, right? These two words didn't coexist. And they didn't know how to handle his legacy, so to speak. And this was a personal project. This wasn't funded by anybody or anything, right? It was our own personal project. So we thought, okay, while we're doing our own client work, can we slip in on our personal project?
Yeah, so it's like, I remember when I heard the story, I was shocked.
Same, yeah.
I'm a big football fan, and that was the first athlete or football player that I've known who basically, what he went through and what happened, and I was just shocked. And I remember it stayed with me. So, and I always thought maybe one day, something. But then once we started doing, Yusuf started doing a massive measures, it was the back of my mind. But then just waiting for the perfect time.
Yeah.
And basically I think were they playing Ukraine? For the
so ideally, everyone qualifies for the Moscow World Cup qualifiers. Yeah. So we wanted initially to have it before the Ukraine World Cup qualifiers, but to find a location, right? Because you mentioned some very interesting location. There's a lot of things that you need to consider, right? So even a location kind of defines what that piece is going to be, what its legacy, and what or whatever else, right? So we're not really thinking about the others, we're thinking really more about, people who the Gen Zers, the younger kids, right, who have no understanding of who this great man was, right? So we felt like, again, whenever you go to Wales games, whenever you go to Cardiff City games, you need to have the mural situated in a location where people can constantly see it. It's no point, a lot of murals, a lot of great artwork are in alleyways.
Yeah.
It's a shame, right? Like some incredible stuff, right? And a funny thing was, right, about Bradley was, I see a lot of his great work in alleyways. And I remember just asking, why do you put it in alleyways? I was in case we used to get permission. So the building owner, it's a case of just, figure things out with the building owner. And it's a fantastic piece of artwork.
Gareth's parents, once we were done, they've contacted us.
Oh, really?
So they were
that's so nice. What a way to sort of remember someone and, as you say, in their legacy. That's absolutely lush. I'm going to move on because you've got loads of Glaze history. This is fairly recent of yours, isn't it, actually? I love this. So this was commissioned by Cardiff Council, is that right? And it's to do safer streets, is that right? Yeah, talk us through this. This is only one section of it, isn't it? It's on the underpass between City Hall and where...
Hilton Hotel. So, this was a project that literally came out of the blue. Initially, we were meant to deliver in March 2024, but deadlines always move, right? So, there's a Safer Streets Home Office campaign where they try to make streets a lot safer for women and young children. So the obvious thing, CCTV, whatever else is a big part of it. But then also, they're looking for kind of left field ways of making streets a lot safer. And this is where art comes in, right? Art isn't just stuff that should be in a museum. I'm a big believer that it needs to be in public spaces because I didn't go to a museum, he didn't go to a museum. A lot of the people where I'm from don't really go to museums, right? So how can you get them exposed to art in different ways? So usually a lot of our murals are based on regular people, right? But we wanted to pivot away from that because again, as a creative, you get stifled to kind of, if one recipe works, right, they want to do it again and again and again and again, right? And we were able to kind of basically look at the theme of what they wanted to do, create designs, create artworks, and recreate them at scale. Yeah, I love it.
So in this process, was it yourself that drew this?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so talented.
It's always the quiet ones, right? They're the ones to watch.
But like, yeah, so, but I mean, like, you know, obviously, like, I'm referring back to Yusuf, you know, asking me, is this going to work, do you like this? And
Yeah, well, you're a team, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
if he gets excited, then I know it's, you know, it's going to go. If he gets way too excited, then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to double check on something.
Well, also, it's like, I was mentioning to Tom, right?
Hey, Tom.
Usually you think projects are done by one person, and again, like it's almost like a naive understanding of a creative process, right? I'll use a football analogy, right? On a pitch, there's like 11 players, right? But usually one gets singled out for all the attention when it's a very team-oriented thing, right? There's only certain things like tennis and maybe boxing, right? Sports I don't particularly enjoy because I think in a team dynamic, greater things are achieved.
Mm-hmm.
So even for this, right, it's like the artwork, refining that, delivering that, pleasing a client, right? We usually end up confusing a client first, then pleasing them, right? Always give them one idea, is what I realized, don't give them three, right? You know, and then, yeah, delivering it and working with great people. Like a lot of these artists, right, are all locally based, but they all work in London, so they're colouring up Shoreditch and these kind of places because there's budget to pay them in Shoreditch, right? But there isn't budget to pay them what they deserve in Cardiff, right? And was kind of like shifting that as well.
Awesome. I think this is the video.
So originally Cardiff University, they wanted, so a lot of clients, they come to you and they want to repeat what you've done before. I'm going to be mindful as a baby. I hate that stuff,
babies.
right? Two babies, is it? What's the second one? The second one? Ah, okay, yeah. He's receptive at that age as well, yeah. So. You gotta watch him. So, Cardiff University, a lot of these clients want you to recycle the previous idea, and we're constantly fighting against that. It's such a source of frustration.
You see on social media, I mean, like it's you have to look at each individual case, like individual client, what the brief is, and like you said, like we can't just duplicate because it's not going to be genuine
Impactful.
or,
It's not going to be impactful.
or authentic, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So the image was, all right, so the whole brief was, okay, they want to do Black History Month. I hate universities, I hated primary schools, I hated high schools, right? And a lot of it was when you're an adult, you're able to understand why I used to feel a lot of discomfort in these spaces. It's because they don't inspire you. You're meant to go to school, so I don't know anybody watches X-Men, right? So there's Professor X's Academy of Gifted Mutants, right? And I remember it was just like this huge amount of house where people were just doing crazy stuff, right? University should be like that, you know, they should make you dream, they should make you think. So we wanted to create a piece that, outside of Black History Month, right, it shouldn't be a month, it's 365, but outside of a particular event or activation, what creates something that lives on and inspires the kids, so they can, or the students that go to our university, or even anybody around the area, so they can decide, oh, okay, I could do something like this, or just dream, basically. You know?
Yeah. Someone said I work on a project that's about getting more diversity in Welsh public and political life, and someone said you can't be what you can't see, and I kind of thought that was like quite impactful, isn't it? And like, that's exactly what what your murals represent to me as well. So
because my whole life, right, I will not be doing what I am today if there wasn't the internet, because there was examples or anything that was visual representations of what could be done, what was possible. Because how can you aspire to something if you can't see it, you can't imagine it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very, very important.
Yay!
Hey.
So you wanted me to include this image,
Yeah, 100%.
images. So please talk us through these, because I've never seen these before.
Okay, so this was an Arsenal third kit campaign that was done a few years ago. So this was like 2021, 22, or 2021, right? I think 22 season, right? And the reason why this was important, right? So it's layered, right? There's many different reasons, right? So the reason we support Arsenal, because Arsenal was in 2003, I think, or 2004, I just saw on Twitter, was the very first club to field an 11 of black players, right?
Gosh.
So that was really cutting edge at that time, right? And my family just, well, especially my older brothers, right, were like so into Arsenal, and I didn't understand why we didn't choose Manchester United, why we didn't choose Liverpool, why didn't we choose Cardiff City, right? And then what I realized, right, much further on was it's visual representation. They saw those players, they could identify with those players, right? There was even a rumor, I don't know if there's any Arsenal fans, right? Thierry Henry was half Somali, right? Okay. The biggest lie ever, right? My brother. I remember he used to try and tell me, and I was like, "Are you sure?" And I was young, and I still couldn't. I knew he was trying to do it, but we ran with it, right? And if you go to Bhutan, right, at that time, they believed that this guy was half Somali. You know, he's from Caribbean descent, but that's irrelevant. They saw themselves in him. They felt represented by this team. So Arsenal have always been, right, a connection to feeling represented, feeling seen, right? So when Adidas asked us to do the third kit launch, right, again, we kind of wanted to do it our way. If it was up to them, they would have, I don't know, got some TikTok influencer and said, let's just put them in Arsenal shirt. But we found Somali girls, right, who are Arsenal fans.
Oh, wow.
And from London, and you know, this is probably the most hilarious photo shoot ever, right? So these smiles and laughter was genuine, right?
The phone, like two sisters.
Two sisters. No, so these two are sisters, and then these two are sisters. So it was a whole family thing. I found them randomly on Oxford Street. And
Are you scouting?
yeah, that's what I do. So and again, it's just about understanding what the look, what works, right? And so they asked me, what shall I wear? I said, you wear what you wear on a normal day. So you wear a hijab, right? You wear your normal stuff, right? Maybe they went a little extra on the accessories, but they were themselves. And it was like the first time that I looked at something, I thought, I'm very proud of that. And it's a full 360. He's choking on the milk, it's okay. 360 moment for us. And this is where we wanted to get to with Cardiff City, but in the endurance aspect of it was, right, and I'm a very spiritual person, right, I believe there was a bigger plan at play. So it wasn't meant for Cardiff City. Cardiff City, I didn't see myself in them, right? Arsenal is a club, yes, it's in North London, but what they represent is close to our hearts and the people that we're from. There's a running joke, every Somali is an Arsenal fan, right? Shoki's Yemeni, they're pretty much the same, right? And I understood that. But it took me many years to understand why we always support Arsenal, what Arsenal means as a club, and then to get to this point, it was, yeah.
It just like kind of demonstrates, like with Cardiff City, they always play the safe, you know, they never
push
push, yeah, so it's always been safe, and then whatever we kind of pitched or delivered to them, they thought, oh, we haven't done anything like that, we don't know if it's going to work, they were too kind of afraid. you know, thinking about the business side more than the
Then the creative.
so
The thing is, if you think about the creative, you know, business has to make sense. You know, I'm not denying that. We're more mature enough to understand that. But the creative is what differentiates stuff, you know. So.
Yeah. I mean, we've come to the end.
Art.
Sorry.
I was ready to go for another art.
So I want to give a huge round of applause